Shalom, shalom again, brethren. I'm sharing another lesson study with you, and it's entitled, Where Are We? Our Calling and Election. As we read in Deuteronomy chapter 29, we see that the first verse highlights the two covenants that were made by Yahuwah with Israel. Deuteronomy chapter 29 verse 1 reads, These are the words of the covenant which Yahuwah commanded Moses to make with the children of Israel in the land of Moab, beside the covenant which he made with them in Horeb. As we read Deuteronomy chapter 29 verses 10 to verse 15, it reads, Ye stand this day all of you before Yahuwah your Elohim, your captains of your tribes, your elders, and officers, with all the men of Israel, your little ones, your wives, and thy stranger that is in thy camp, from the hewer of thy wood unto the drawer of thy water, that thou shouldest enter into covenant with Yahuwah thy Elohim, and into his oath, which Yahuwah thy Elohim maketh with thee this day, that he may establish thee today for a people unto himself, and that he may be unto thee a Elohim, as he have said unto thee, and as he have sworn unto thy fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. Neither with you only do I make this covenant and this oath, but with him that standeth here with us this day before Yahuwah your Elohim, and also with him that is not here with us this day. We are to therefore understand that our forefathers and us are all included in these covenants, those that were then present and us who are here now in 2020, even though we had not yet been born. We were in their loins, so to speak. I refer you to Hebrews chapter 7, verse 9 to verse 10. As we continue to read Deuteronomy chapter 29, verse 16 to verse 29, we see the details of the covenant that is being addressed, clearly outlined, and we can also attest to the fulfillment of what is written therein. That is to say, that it actually happened, as we are the living proof. We are the end result. Now when we come to Deuteronomy chapter 30, we see that it aligns with all of what has happened and continues to happen with us and to us to this very day in 2020. On this pagan's calendar system. Deuteronomy chapter 30 verse 1 to verse 2 reads, And it shall come to pass, which means it will happen, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among the nations whither Yahuwah thy Elohim have driven thee. So we know that as we call all of these things, the blessings and the cursings that were placed upon us, as we are dwelling amongst the nations, Moses says, when we shall call these things to mind, and shall return unto Yahuwah thy Elohim, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that then Yahuwah thy Elohim will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither Yahuwah thy Elohim have scattered thee. Yes, brethren, in 2020, there are those of us who have called these things to mind, who have returned to Yahuwah with all of our hearts and all of our minds, who are instructing our households to follow Yahuwah. Whether we are in the diaspora of the Caribbean, North America, Europe, Asia, Africa, etc. We are actually in the process of what is written here in Deuteronomy chapter 30, verses 1 to verses 3. Day in, day out, night out. Many of us are fasting and praying. Many of us are worshiping Yahuwah in truth and in spirit. Many of us have shaken off the world's feast days and returned to Yahuwah's feast days, his appointed times. Many of us are now learning what it means to love thy neighbor. Many of us are now learning what it means how to deal righteous with the strangers. Many of us are now learning how to live according to the commandments of Yahuwah. Many of us have forsaken world religions, be it Islam, Judaism, Christianity, and many of the other world religions that exist, which have led us astray. Now, in addition to Deuteronomy chapter 30, we read scriptures like Revelation chapter 7, and we need to realize that it has great bearing on those of us who are now returning to Yahuwah. We read in Revelation chapter 7 that the angels have held back the winds, the four winds, as they are commanded to do so, to prevent hurt upon the earth and the sea. Revelation chapter 7 verse 1 to verse 3 reads, "And after these things I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living Elohim, and he cried with a loud voice to the four angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our Elohim in their foreheads." As we read on in Revelation chapter 7, we also recognize that this is also done to allow the sealing of the 144,000 of Israel, and to allow the great multitude to stand before the throne and before the Lamb, who is Yahushua. When we read Revelation chapter 7 verse 9, it says, "After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. Verse 10 reads, and cried with a loud voice, saying, Salvation to our Elohim, which sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb. When we read Revelation chapter 7, verse 14, it reads, and I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest? And he said to me, These are they which came out of great tribulation, and have washed their robes, and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. When we would have read verse 13, I should have read verse 13, which says, and one of the elders answered, saying unto me, What are these which are arrayed in white robes? And whence come they? And I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said to me, These are they which came out of great tribulation, that have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. This great tribulation that this multitude came through, we know it is mentioned by Yahushua, the Lamb, in Matthew chapter 24, verse 21. We know that Yahushua, as he's speaking here in Matthew chapter 24, is explaining to the disciples what would happen to them and the others through the ages that would follow Yahushua in the latter times. Matthew chapter 24 verse 21 therefore speaks to the fact that Yahushua states clearly that, For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. When we read John chapter 16 verse 33, Yahushua confirms it again. He said, These things I have spoken unto you, that in me ye might have peace. In the world ye shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. So now as we continue to read, we have to go into Revelation chapter 8. And when we read Revelation chapter 8, we see that it is a continuation of the opening of the seven seals, as was started by the Lamb, Yahushua, in Revelation chapter 6. In Revelation chapter 8 verse 7, it described more of the events of the great tribulation that the righteous must pass through. Here we see the first angel sounded. Revelation chapter 8 verse 7 reads, The first angel sounded, and these followed, hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and the third part of the trees were burnt up, and all green grass was burnt up. Brethren, this is where we are presently, as all of the world can see. The tree fires in various places of the earth, be it the Amazon rainforest, be it the Australian bushfires, be it the fires in California, be it Russia, etc. This will culminate into a third part of the trees being burnt up as stated here in Revelation chapter 8 verse 7. So brethren, my question is this not where we are in prophetic time? Are we not getting ready to see the second angel sound as is written in Revelation chapter 8? We know that Yahushua said that the days will be shortened for the elect's sake. This is in Matthew chapter 24 verse 22. It reads, "And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened." Brethren, are you making sure of your calling and election? Are you seeking out your own soul salvation with fear and trembling? Are you worshiping Yahuwah through his son Yahushua with all of your strength, all of your might, with all of yourself? Brethren, let us take heed. We know the time, we know the hour. Those of us who have been called, those of us who are aware, let us not slip, lest that promise falls away from us. Shalom, brethren.